Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo PowerZone, guys. I'm your host, Nice193, and joining me is our brand new co-host, Jaden. And what we're going to do right now is we have YouTube exclusive content, just something we wanted to do a little bit extra after we record the main show. So the only way you're seeing this or hearing this is if you're watching this right here on YouTube. And what we're going to do is we're just going to talk a little bit about Sonic Mania. So this is a game I've been anticipating for a while, since they announced it last year at the 25th anniversary event. I'm super excited. Even though I grew up a Nintendo kid, I've played a crap ton of Sonic the Hedgehog, and to see Sonic come back in this 2D style, that was just like a fanboy's wet dream. And it's a game that I've had so much fun playing it. So we're just gonna talk all about it just briefly. We're gonna be here for about 20 minutes tops, but we want to get into it. So, Jaden, initial thoughts. How far are you into the game, and what are your initial thoughts right now?
You know, I've only played about 30 to 45 minutes. And embarrassingly enough, I've only gotten past like 3 zones, because I honestly really forgot how hard the old Sonic games are. And part of it is I'm out of practice, because that style of game is just not something I play these days. It's like going back to the classic Mega Man series. I used to be able to, when I was a kid, 7 years old, I beat Mega Man 2 on the NES. I can't do that now. I don't know how the hell I did it back then, but somehow I did. It's a similar concept. I'm a much worse game player now than when I was a kid. But, I'm absolutely loving it. It is such a return to form that it blows my mind. It really does.
Well, for me, it feels like the real sequel. I mean, we had Sonic 4 on mobile devices, but, I mean, personally, it wasn't a game that I was at all enjoying. Sonic 4 just had too many technical issues, and then it just felt slow, where Sonic Mania actually feels like it belonged. If you were to list all the Sonic games in a sort of chronological order, I would go Sonic, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Mania. That's the way I would list the games as far as chronologically, but it feels like it's part of that era. And that's the thing that's so amazing about it, is that it fits into that era of games, and we just haven't had that. And to think about the people who developed it, these are fans of the franchise who got a chance to make a game, and there's just so much nostalgia and love built into this game that I felt right at home playing it. And obviously I'm playing it for the Switch, and I've played it docked, but I have so much more fun playing it undocked in my tablet mode. It just feels it feels right. This is like the Game Gear game that never was. Yeah, it feels great. And I just can't get over how fast it feels. And like you said, I was also out of practice. I forgot how hard those games are. But as far as difficulty, it still scales a little bit lower than probably Sonic 3. I thought Sonic 3 was a little bit harder.
Oh, well, Sonic 3, I mean, if we want to talk about pinnacle games of the series, Sonic 3, whew, fantastic. But, I mean, I guess considering that the game is made now, I expected a bit more hand-holding than what we got. They definitely delivered that classic 1990s style of, you know what, we're not going to baby you kind of gameplay, which I love.
No, absolutely, and that's what makes the game brilliant. But design-wise, man, this game, I'm just looking at a trailer for it right now, and just it would
animations.
It would fit so perfectly. And the moment you boot up the game and it starts with Sonic appearing within that that crest, and he does his 360-degree spin, it's almost like you know it's new, but at the same time, it's
Yeah,
like it doesn't feel new.
I
Like,
gotta say, the first time I actually got into the game, Green Hill Zone, there was an instant where immediately I had a flashback to when I was 6 years old in front of one of those old CRT monitors with a Mega Drive Genesis controller in my hand. Not many games can do that. Not many games can actually take me back to the place that I was. And that is what makes Sonic Mania so fucking fantastic. And, the last time I got this feeling of true immersive nostalgia was Splatoon, the first one.
see, for
It
me,
had that kind of fun, and that is what makes Sonic Mania amazing. It's so rare to find a game that does it as successfully as this one does.
see what kind of burns me a little bit is that, like, when we think about classic IP like Sonic and Mario, who did it better? And right now it looks like Sega's doing it better, because the most nostalgia trip I've been on this kind of level was with Super Mario Maker, but it's not new content that Nintendo created. It's
Yeah,
user based content, and you can some of those stages are really well designed, but they're not classically Nintendo design. And something about this feels like classic Sega design, especially like when you said when you enter the Green Hill Zone. And even though the Green Hill Zone does have some changes to it, fundamentally it's not so different from the original Green Hill Zone back in Sonic 1, but it feels great. And then I'm just impressed that they were able to completely build
yeah,
this game to look pretty much like a one for one of Sonic 3. It's like those assets are
fantastic.
long gone. Those assets are long gone. All this is custom engine, and yet they were able to make this game look as good as Sonic 3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other thing that really impressed me was the fidelity of the soundtrack. The music was fantastic. Chemical Zone, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent in Chemical Zone, not only because it was one of my favorite levels, but because I was also really bad. I was like 5 years old. What are you going to do? I remember drowning a lot. But
Oh man,
damn, when I got to Chemical Zone, I was humming the music before I even realized I was humming the music. I was back in that place again. Fantastic.
see, for me, man, I've beaten the game twice already, and I'm trying to figure out what my favorite zone is, but it's kind of a toss up, because like some of the new zones are like really fantastic, like Studiopolis. Even though it's a completely new zone, it reminds me of the Casino Zone
Yeah.
so much. Like, and I know that aesthetically it's different enough, but it just has that vibe like the Casino Zone, and it's just got so much little homage built into it that I'm like, I know that speed is the core tenet of Sonic, but I just find myself briskly moving Sonic along so that I can look at the environment to see like what is homage right now. And then at one point in the game, I ran across like a billboard, and it said, "To be this good, it takes ages," which is an old. That's that British Sega commercial where it said, "To be this good, it takes ages," and then they would spin the word ages around, and it would be Sega, because obviously Sega's age is spelled backwards. I was
Yeah.
like, they did not do that. They did not do that, and it's
That's
just
fantastic.
brilliant. Or then there's like this little moment where hardcore Sonic fans will really will see this, but Knack the Weasel shows up, Being the Dynamite shows,
No.
yeah, just these
Oh man.
little moments. And like, not to be too spoilery here, but man, the boss fights after every zone are so just brilliant. Like, when I'm a pretty big Puyo fan, but
Oh yeah.
when I got to the part of the zone where freaking you play Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, I I almost wept tears of joy. It just
All right, you're gonna have to spoil something for me. Do they have a throwback to Sonic Spinball?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes.
It's a little bit more subtle than that. It's in the man. I'm trying to remember what the name is. The zone is trying to remember. All right, had to pull up a zone list. It's in one of the new zones. In the Mirage Saloon zone. Mirage Saloon, which is one
Yeah.
of the new zones. There is a. If you're playing as Knuckles, you're more likely to encounter this because of the three playable characters, they each start a zone from different areas. Like Knuckles usually starts at the bottom,
Yeah.
whereas or Sonic will be in the middle of the zone, and Tails usually starts from up higher, with the exception, I believe, of the Green Hill Zone, where he starts on the same plane as Sonic. But as Knuckles, you're working your way up the stage, and there's a moment where you have the pinball effects, where there'll be these like eagle heads, and it took me a while to realize this, but the eagle heads were flippers, and
That's freaking amazing.
You pinball Knuckles up. I was like, are you kidding me? They really.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they kind of Trojan horsed it into a brand new zone, and they made it a subtle reference, but it's there.
You know, one of the things that always amazed me about the classic level design was the actual breadth and scope of the zones, and we see that in Sonic Mania. It's even to a larger degree. I don't know if you can edit this in, but if you could, put up an image of the actual zone and how big it is, that'd be fantastic. So
if I can find it, I will definitely have it there.
But that's one of the weird things about Sonic that Mania captures that the old ones had. Even though the game itself was all about speed and urging you to go faster and finish it as fast as possible, for me, there was always a nagging feeling of wanting to explore all that I could. And, it's so weird to think about because the game itself is a left to right linear 2D side-scrolling game. You don't think that there would be any room for exploration in that kind of formula. It I mean, hot damn, like, there was so much to find and explore in Sonic Mania. It's fantastic.
No, and it gets to the point where, like, I look back at how I was as a kid, and I've beaten Sonic games before, but there's a level of obsession that I've had with Sonic Mania where it's like, I am so excited about this game. Like, I don't want to put it down. Like, and I'm a huge Splatoon guy, and I have a bunch of people mad at me because I haven't been picking up Splatoon. And it's because, like, I'm intent on 100%ing this game with each and every character because there's just, like you said, there's so much to explore that you want to 100% the game. And then that leads me to, like, the reason you want to do that is because of the special stages. And the special stages in this game are brilliant. You have the blue spheres, which one of my favorite bonuses from Sonic 3 was the blue spheres, even though they get balls hard. And I swear, I think they're harder in Mania than they were in Sonic 3 because the momentum picks up. The longer it takes you to do it, the faster it gets. And this is when I realized it was better to play handheld Sonic Mania if you're playing on the Switch because of the independent D-pad.
Yeah.
Because the D-pad isn't one unit, it's just 4 buttons, makes it a lot easier to control which way you're moving. So if you're playing it on the Switch or on the PS4 or on the Xbox, wait, no, not on the Xbox. If you're playing on the Switch or the PS4, you have an easier way of getting the as long as you're not playing analog. If you use the D-pad, it's going to be way easier to do the blue spheres. But then the UFO zones from Sonic freaking CD, getting Chaos Emeralds is so much fun. And it makes me mad when I miss a Chaos Emerald because it's like, oh, you only have 3 chances per stage to find a Chaos Emerald. But it's brilliant, and the only way you're going to get that true ending is to get all 7. And this is the first time in a Sonic game where I've finally been able to get the true ending of a game. Nice. I remember playing it on my Game Gear, and poor Tails is dead at the end of Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. He's just all you see is Sonic look up at the sky at the very end of that game, and it's just, Tails as a constellation, which basically means he died because he didn't get all 7 Chaos Emeralds. This time I got it, and the only reason I went through the effort of getting it was because I found out that there was a secret ending that
Nice.
potentially ties into Sonic Forces.
Wow. Sonic Forces, I gotta say, I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about it, but I'm gonna buy it for the character creator.
I was feeling the same way until last night. I was just watching random YouTube videos and I saw a lot of gameplay, and I'm like, when I saw classic Sonic gameplay, I was like, you know what? It looks pretty on par to what I've been playing in Sonic Mania. I wonder if the Sonic Mania team had a little bit of a hand in helping with the development of at least the classic Sonic stages, because the 2D platforming looked pretty well done. I'm still skeptical on the boost mechanics of 3D Sonic, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the fact that Sega was willing to even come out with Sonic Mania when they have a clear path for the Sonic franchise, it gives me hope. Now, whether or not we like that clear path that they've had with 3D Sonic is, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm kind of been indifferent because there have been, in my opinion, some really good 3D Sonic games, like both the adventure games I love.
Yeah.
I love Sonic Heroes, and Sonic Colors was like a return to form back to the adventure days, so I enjoy that. But they've had some stinkers like Sonic 06, which might... I don't know how many people believe this now, but it might be a story of bestiality.
Yeah, the werehog thing was a bit odd. I mean, the other thing that was the Black Knight one, I thought was also kind of odd. I just wasn't feeling it. I'm actually in the minority. I know a lot of people liked Heroes. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't think it was nearly as good as Adventure 2.
No, it wasn't as good. You're right there. I liked it, but it was the lesser of the games.
Yeah. And, I think going back to a point that you made earlier about Mario versus Sonic, right? The reason why Nintendo doesn't do this is I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to return back to where they came from in order to get a good game. I mean, I think one of the reasons why this worked so well for Sonic is because there's still a fan base that grew up on it. There's still a fan base that exists that respects Sonic for having such an impact on the industry. And, after so many failures, they're disappointed. And so this return is a way to people get hyped. I think if Mario did that, people would just be like, why are you returning to that? All your games are good. I don't see a point. You know what I mean?
See, in my opinion, I think Nintendo did it earlier, like way earlier. They did do that return, but they didn't do it with the same kind of reverence that this new Sonic team did. They did it with the new Super Mario Brothers series on the DS.
Yeah.
Nintendo realized that gamers were aging out and they didn't play, Mario games anymore. So they wanted to find a way to bring back some of those classic gamers, but at the same time appease like the younger generation that was coming in. So they made new Super Mario Brothers for the DS, and that game is one of the best-selling games on the DS, if not the best-selling. But
it's up there.
They did it. They did it. They went back, but they did it in a Nintendo way where it's like, we're not going to go ahead and we're going to do this style of game, but we're going to do it and make sure that it feels like a new game as well.
Yeah.
So Mario was much more agile in the new Super Mario Bros. Series with the triple jumps, the butt stomps, and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
Extra. And of course, with the high resolution graphics of a newer Mario game. So they've done it, but they just didn't do it with the same kind of reverence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania, it's like a love story to like Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic CD.
Easily. But I think I totally agree with you. But I also think, it was one of the few ways that it was one of the few avenues that Sega had left open to them, because they Sega actually did kind of try and do that. They tried to take the modern-esque route with Sonic Generations, which was a pretty good game, honestly.
Yeah.
But it didn't get the same hype as Sonic Mania did, and I think that's because they realized that people had memories, they had nostalgia, they had these good, solid core growing up experiences with classic Sonic, and it was the easiest and best, most effective way for them to pull people in, because a lot of the 3D stuff, it's been a decade of bad 3D Sonic games.
Oh,
Or okay, not bad, but varying degrees of mediocrity.
yeah,
So
no, yeah. I mean, because Sonic 06 for the Xbox and the PS3 kind of began the trend of bad
yeah,
Sonic games, and they didn't really get much better after that. I mean, there's been like shimmers, but then Sonic Boom, which is like the Sonic Boom is like the complete bastardization of all things good in the world.
or
No, but
Sonic Boom.
ironically, not a bad TV show though.
Yeah, yeah, kind of amusing.
But no, it's like if for a while it seemed like Sega just didn't know what to do with Sonic. Like the moment, and it almost felt that way during the Adventure era too, because it's like, what is Sonic now? Because
Yeah,
speed in a 3D world, in the 3D space is hard to convey.
yeah, and that was something that Sonic has always struggled with on the 3D platform. They had to balance, okay, how much speed can we put into the system without destroying the playability? And, that's Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. They got a good balance. It felt fast enough, but it didn't feel uncontrollable. And
Exactly.
some of the other ones, you just fly off stages, or there was so much going on that you're just like, what the hell's happening? It just didn't really work as well.
Well, then the other aspect of that is stage design, because
Yeah,
in order to truly convey the speed, the stage needs to be long.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what the 2D Sonics game they get right. Even though, if you were to just take them and go in a straight line, they're short stages. But Sonic stage design isn't about straight lines like Mario. It's about up, down, loops, and all this, corkscrews. They do
yeah,
so much to make that straight line seem longer than it actually is. But in the 3D space, you're asking for a lot of assets.
yeah.
So you have to build everything from the ground up, and stage design is complicated. Like just try building a stage of Super Mario Maker,
You
and you
also need a
realize how difficult stage design actually
yeah.
is.
Sorry, you also need a really good engine to deal with how the character interacts with the environment, and because that's one of the big things with Sonic. I mean, when we saw with Sonic Adventure 2, the grinding on the rails and doing all that kind of stuff, that's a lot of actually very complex stuff that you have to write in. And so if you do it wrong, you can interact with the wrong thing at the wrong time, and then you fall off the stage. It's
Exactly.
it's complicated. So I totally agree with you in that standpoint.
All right, I want to talk about the story a little bit. I mean, not that Sonic Mania is like, like Mario games or other Sonic games. Story, it's not like the main driver of the game, but this game does have a story, and it picks up pretty much where Sonic 3 ends. After
Yeah,
Sonic and Tails pretty much help Knuckles save, Angel Island,
yeah, yeah,
they get like a distress that basically is like, hey, you guys need to come back. Shit's going down. And I love this opening cutscene where it's just like Sonic 3.
yes,
You have Sonic standing on top of the tornado, Tails is flying
yeah,
it, and it's literally almost like a 1-for-1 up until the moment where in Sonic 3 it would be Knuckles smacking the crap, because in Sonic 3 he turns supersonic, and then Knuckles comes and snatches the emeralds away. But
yeah,
here you have Sonic and Tails fly onto Angel Island, and the hard-boiled heavies are basically standing there as basic egg robos, like the classic egg robo design for Sonic 3, and they dig up the Phantom Ruby, and it basically changes them so that they become like a new elite fighting force of robots, but they're also a little corrupted. And they
yeah,
have basically take on all new forms, and it's sick. And then Eggman comes, and he, the whole thing gets all warpy, and it's just great because you have Sonic just kind of stuck in like suspended animation, and things happen, and somehow you're transported to the Green Hill Zone, from Angel Island, and that's where the story takes off, and then you just get going after that, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant storytelling told through like pantomime.
Yeah, that's something that I'd forgotten about, from simply not having returned to the old games in so long, was just how good the old Sonic games were at being able to tell a story without having a single word uttered.
Well,
It's
yeah,
phenomenal.
it's the basic flaw of Mario games. How do Mario games start? We don't actually really ever see Bowser take the princess in Mario 1, 2, or 3. It's just happened,
Yeah,
and you need to, well, Japanese Mario 2, not Mario 2 USA
yeah,
edition,
yeah.
because Peach is playable in Mario USA.
Anyway,
But we never see Bowser go through the effort of taking Princess Peach. It's just happened. Not until the new Super Mario Bros. Series do we see that happen. But in Sonic 2, Sonic CD, and Sonic 3, we see the events that lead up to the story. Especially here in Mania, we're seeing that Sonic is back on Angel Island, and we're seeing what is happening to these egg robos that has corrupted them and, turned them into the hard-boiled heavies, and we see that Robotnik still has control over them despite their new powered up forms, at least to some extent. That changes later in the game. Don't want to get too spoilery, but Robotnik's control over the hardboard heavies is a little suspect, and we see that in the later stages of the game. But even after that, once you've beaten the game, there are two endings. You have your good ending, you have your bad ending. Which, ironically, none of them actually feels like a bad ending this time around. I know at the end of Sonic CD, when you got that bad ending, yeah, you knew you got that bad ending because the Death Egg, not the Death Egg, Little Planet is still chained up at the end,
yeah,
and it looks like Sonic didn't do his job, or the job he had set out to do. Here, both endings actually feel pretty satisfying. I mean, there's not much variation between the two, but if you get the good ending, there's a possible tie-in to what Sonic Forces is and maybe how classic Sonic got into the Sonic Forces universe.
yeah. That'll be
So,
interesting.
like, both endings feel satisfying, but all the boss fights, man, all the boss fights are some kind of take on previous boss fights. There's one stage that just utterly blew my mind. What's the water stage? Hydro City.
Oh
Hydro
yeah,
Hydro City this time around blew my mind because when the boss fight had you inside of Robotnik's egg machine, I was like, "Holy crap! This is what happened in Sonic 3, except I'm not the guy trying to avoid the bombs. I'm the guy dropping the bombs. They flipped the script. They basically put you inside Robotnik's machine and have Robotnik in the water." And I'm like, holy crap. They paid homage, but also did their own thing. And of course,
yeah,
the Mean Bean Machine boss fight, like I said, I damn near wept when I saw that. I
yeah,
was hitting the capture button on my Switch so fast that I almost didn't play that boss fight. I actually
yeah.
lost the boss fight the first time because I was just slamming on the capture button on my Joy-Cons. I was like, capture, 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 snapping pictures. I was like, I'm losing, but I don't care. I have 20 lives. I'm good.
No, I totally agree. There's a YouTuber that I watch. I only watch a couple different YouTubers. Robots King of Sweden being one of them, and the other one being Video Game Donkey, mostly because I think he's hilarious. But he made a good point, I think, a valid point, that Sonic Mania's identity relies heavily on the old games. And his take on it was that it was a bad thing. But I honestly don't agree. I think it's great. I think it's great that the identity relies on the old games, because then we see great boss battles like the Mean Bean Machine one. The homages to Sonic 3. I mean, it just makes for a more personal experience. And that's what we want out of games. We want games that touches you, that touches people at their core. that makes them feel things.
That's true.
That makes a good game.
I kind of get his point though, because at the same time, they did spend 2/3 of this game are classic stages that have been tooled to fit
Yeah.
a little bit more of a modern gameplay style. But what I think he means by that is that it's great that it does rely on the nostalgia of those old stages, but they could have gone further. The game could have been more uniquely designed because the stages that they made for this game specifically really stand out. They or the remix versions. So Act 1 of every stage is almost verbatim of Act 1 of whatever stage it was in those original games.
Yeah.
But Act 2 is a lot more. Act 2 is a lot more remixed, and then you have your new stages like Mirage Saloon or your Studiopolis, which Studiopolis, like I said, it sort of pays homage to the Casino Zone, but at the same time, it is fresh enough that it doesn't feel like a retread of Casino Zone. It feels like its own zone, but Studiopolis is brilliantly designed, and so is Mirage Saloon. That is also a brilliantly designed stage. It's actually one of my favorites. And Knuckles has his own stage. When you get to Mirage Saloon, as if you're playing in the Knuckles campaign, it is completely different than Sonic's campaign. Sonic's campaign is a lot more speed oriented, whereas Knuckles' portion of that stage is very exploratory, similar to how they handle those characters in Sonic Adventure, whereas when you played as Sonic, it's a lot faster, and it does have exploration, but that's not the core tenet of that specific mode. And when you played as Knuckles, it was a lot of Emerald Fetch quests, which basically means you have to explore that zone thoroughly to find the emeralds. Same applies for Knuckles in Mirage Saloon. It's very exploratory, and it took me a lot longer to play that stage as Knuckles. And even the boss fight is completely different when you're playing as Knuckles. So it ended up being a different game, and each character has minor variations to the stage, but the Knuckles playthrough is definitely like playing the game on hard. I started the game, I played as Sonic and Tails, because I didn't realize you could swap the characters. I thought you had to unlock that. Then after I beat it as Sonic and Tails, I beat it as Sonic. Now I'm on my third playthrough as Knuckles, and Knuckles is like playing the game on hard mode. Because they've made sure that each character feels different. Playing as Tails is like playing on easy mode because his flight makes it so easy to avoid so many enemies. Playing as Sonic, he builds his momentum so much faster than any other character. And playing as Knuckles, he's slower and he doesn't jump as high. And I'm currently stuck right now on a boss because Knuckles cannot jump as high.
Yeah,
and I need to get back. I need to get onto a platform, and I just can't quite reach the platform to stay alive. So it makes the game challenging, and that's what's really nice is that the replay value of the game is really, really wide because you can play as each one of those characters, and it feels like a different game, and that's brilliant game design. Brilliant game design.
And that goes back to the point you were making earlier about the 2D level design. It shows just how brilliant and intuitive these guys are to take something that most people would think is very easy, linear, and simple, and they turn that concept on its head, and you see something with a lot of depth. It's really, mind blowing.
Oh man, and back to what you were saying with the soundtrack. The soundtrack, absolutely fantastic. T. Lopes, that guy should win some kind of some kind of award at the end of this year for that fantastic job he did remixing and just putting his own stamp on the Sonic universe. And on top of that, you had Hyper Potions, who are like a staple of Game Chops, Game Chops, who we get our fantastic music from here on, the podcast. All of our music is, all the music we use on this show is from Game Chops, and Hyper Potions really killed it with the opening theme for this game. And the pre-order trailer, they also killed it on that as well.
Really good.
Fantastic music.
It's a bit of a shame that Michael Jackson is dead, because I'm sure you know the trivia that MJ, he helped do the soundtrack for Sonic 3, I believe.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he had been alive, I kind of wonder if they would have roped him in, you know?
Oh, I'm
Because
certain they
that would
would
have
have.
been fantastic.
I'm certain they would have got him in there a little bit. Oh no, but my overall thoughts on this game, it is fantastic. Like for me, when I walked into this year, it was all about Breath of the Wild. It was all about that game and how brilliant that game was, and that was it. I was like, no other game is going to be better than Breath of the Wild. And now, while I won't say Sonic Mania is better than Breath of the Wild, it does a really good job of finding a way to stand toe to toe with Breath of the Wild. And I don't know how much of that is just my nostalgia, just being like dialed to 11 and saying, "Hey, this is how games used to be. This is how you loved. This is the era that made you love video games." Like personified in 2017, it is that era brought back to life, and I just could not imagine not having this game as a top contender at this point. And then
Yeah.
the collector's edition, which was so brilliant. The only thing they could have done to make that better was to have a USB Genesis controller that
Yeah.
you could play with. It's the only way that game would have been better was to actually be playing it on a Genesis controller.
Yeah. It's really interesting to actually have it on a Nintendo console. But, you know, I really wouldn't have it any other way. Um, it's the nostalgia, and you know, part of it for me, playing it on the Switch is what helped me ramp my nostalgia up to, you know, 11. You know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with appealing to nostalgia hard the way Mania did. I mean, one of the reasons why the Switch as a system um, is my absolute favorite right now is because it's a fantastic nostalgia machine. They've got crazy old arcade games that I never thought I'd see. They have King of Fighters 2000, for example. They've got we were talking earlier off the podcast, but newsflash for the fans out there: if you haven't heard, they are bringing Double Dragon 4 to the Switch. I mean, and so when you have a bunch of digital content like that, and then you add the nostalgia of Sonic Mania, I mean, you are back in the 90s,
Oh man,
and
I'm excited.
that's what is really plays to the strength of this game. I mean, if I could choose any other system to play it on, I would still choose a Switch, hands down.
Yeah, it, the Switch is such a dream machine for me because it's like all these games that I want to play, like I'm waiting for Switch versions of. Like for Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I'm almost certain that game is coming to the Switch,
Yeah,
and I might just hold off until the Switch version. I did not buy Ukulele because I thought it would, in my mind, it would feel wrong to
yep,
play a game built by the classic Rare team on any other system other than a Nintendo console. So
agreed.
I'm waiting for the Switch version. I had kickstarted that for the Wii U. Unfortunately, that game isn't coming out on the Wii anymore. They moved the production to the Switch,
Yep,
which, yeah, it sucks, but I'm fine with it. You know, that seems like a game that I want to play everywhere. And another throwback style title. It's a throwback to like, you know, classic Banjo-Kazooie. Like we're in this nice era where like retro and throwback style games are making video game companies a lot of money. This doesn't have to be like an indie thing anymore. I know
yeah,
Capcom tried it with Mega Man 9 and 10. Those were great games, but then they stopped. They completely stopped. And that's the sad thing is that you see Sonic Mania succeeding where Mega Man 9 and 10 also succeeded, but it looks like Sega is more willing to go through the, you know, to capitalize more on it. Like there's no way that we don't see a Sonic Mania 2. There's just no way that there's a future where we live in that
yeah.
we do not see Christian Whitehead, Pagoda Games, and you know, the other developer whose name escapes me right now.
Headcanon.
Handcannon. Yes, there's no way we don't see those three developers working on a Sonic Mania 2. We live
It
in a
would
world
shock
now.
me if we didn't get a Sonic Mania 2.
There's just no way unless they're gonna bring them as those three studios as like first party developers to make more 3D style Sonic games, that's the only way that we don't see a Mania 2. But yeah, I don't think we live in a universe now where we can't have classic Sonic and modern Sonic coexisting. We live in a world where they can coexist, and we're seeing it here in 2017 because we have Sonic Mania and we're getting Sonic Forces. And because of Sonic Mania, I'm more excited about Sonic Forces.
Agreed.
And that's a space where I didn't think that would happen, because when I played Sonic, when they announced both games at the 25th anniversary party, there was a delineation. I knew exactly which one I was getting.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna get Mania. I'm good with Mania. But now, after playing Mania, I'm like, I might want to get Sonic Forces, and now I'm anticipating Sonic Forces.
Yeah. I mean, I was on the camp of maybe for Sonic Forces. I mean, the entire thing with Mania was, my thought process was, classic Sonic, 2D, they can't possibly screw this up, right? Although there always was the nagging voice in my head that said they're going to screw it up. But
there was that whole Sonic 4
yeah,
in the background.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Sonic 4 was okay. I blame a lot of the fact it was on mobile devices for my experience of it. But anyway, back to Mania. Once I got that, it moved me from the maybe camp to the, I'm in the 75%, 80% probability of getting Forces now when it comes out. I mean, there's just no way that I'm gonna miss out on the opportunity for Forces and that character creator. It's funny, I was talking to a friend of mine. So there's an internet thing, right? Where for you fans at home watching, you should also do this. Go on Google image search and put your name followed by the hedgehog and look at all the cringy art of these people of doing their original Sonic characters. But Sonic Forces having a character creator will basically allow us kids at heart to play that OC in a game.
Oh man, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah, it's great. Here, I'm sure we can edit this in later. We'll put examples of both of me and Nice One, or I don't know, me for sure. I'll put one for me, and you can see the kind of cringy stuff. Do it. It's hilarious. And I try not to make fun of people for doing sort of stuff like that, but I think we all should laugh at ourselves a little bit because, hey, I'll be the first one to admit that when I was a kid, I was there. I had my own OC. Super embarrassing, but I did it. I think we all did.
Oh, I was the kid that used to grow up drawing Sonic the Hedgehog fan art all the time. Like, I was obsessed with it. And I used to read Sonic the Hedgehog, the Archie comic. R.I.P. to that book. Hopefully the IDW series will make Sonic comics awesome again. But yeah, R.I.P. to the Archie Sonic.
What about the animated cartoon?
Oh, Sat AM or The Adventures of?
Both.
All right, I was literally just watching The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog on YouTube the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? For some reason, I thought this was the worst show, but it's actually pretty fun.
It was rough around the edges, but it was actually kind of enjoyable. Fun fact, the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog for the animated series was the guy who was Steve Urkel in
Family Matters.
Family Matters, yeah. I'm blanking on the actor's name. But
Jaleel White.
Yeah, it is so weird going from seeing the character Steve Urkel in my head to putting that to Sonic the Hedgehog, who in the 90s was the definition of cool.
No,
he had all that 90s attitude. So weird.
No, and that brilliant casting on their part. Let's take the nerdiest guy we can on TV and make him the coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
No, but I'm definitely interested in making in making my own OC character, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it a hedgehog now that I'm seeing these pictures.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got it.
Oh man. But guys, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna wrap up this Sonic Mania conversation. We're gonna try to do more of this. YouTube exclusive content for like an after show, something that we do after we record the main show. I'm gonna try to get everybody to do a little bit of it. Jaden was the only other person that had played Sonic Mania as part of the new cast. No disrespect to the other guys, Jay Brilliant and Brendan. Both of those guys are doing their work right now. They're both working hard on the show to bring you guys amazing content. But not all of us are gonna play the same games, and that's good because we're gonna have differing tastes or, you know, differing budgets as to what games we're gonna buy. But I can promise you this: we're all probably going to be getting Mario plus Rabbids tomorrow, so we're all going to have an opinion on that game. So no fears there. I think for the most part we've all agreed that all AAA titles will be thoroughly investigated by all of us.
Yep.
So we're all going to have opinions on that. But I like this after show. I like doing this after show. I think this is something that's going to come back. But yeah, guys, let us know. Hit us up in the comment box. Let us know if you like the after show content, because if you do, we will definitely bring much more of it right here on YouTube, exclusive to YouTube. So if you're a fan of the podcast and you want more, you gotta come right here to YouTube to get it. So Jaden, man, you did a great job on the main show. Amazing commentary here on the after show. Anything you want to say to the audience?
Oh yeah, if you haven't gotten Sonic Mania, do yourself a favor and buy it. If you already have it on the PS4 or the Xbox, screw it, buy it again for the Switch, because the Switch is the pinnacle version. You'll be doing yourself a favor. Young or old, you will love this game.
And if
you hate it, you know what? Hit me up on Twitter. It's fine. You can tell me how much you hate it and how wrong I am, and I'll say, okay, whatever. But yeah, you know, as always, like and favorite, subscribe to our channel if you're new. We appreciate it.
And guys, one more thing. If you're on the fence about this awesome collector's edition, check out the unboxing that I did. It's a 20-minute video. It's a long unboxing, but I promise you, I deep dive the entire collector's edition and let you know whether or not it's truly worth your while. See mine right here? Freaking beautiful. I mean, he's standing on a freaking Mega Drive or Genesis, just depending on where you are. This is an amazing bundle. Go ahead and check out the unboxing, because I promise you, I literally deep dive every single item that comes in that collector's edition. So if you're on the fence, you don't know which version you want to buy, collector's edition on the Switch. That's me giving my shout out, my recommendation. Anyway, guys, you already know you can hit me up on Twitter at Nice1983 or at PowerZone. You can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/NintendoPowerZone. You can check out new episodes of the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, stream new episodes on Stitcher Radio. If you want to watch the show live, right here on YouTube, youtube.com/C/NintendoPowerZone. Brand new URL, guys. And if you want to watch exclusive bonus content, the after show, right here on YouTube. Again, so Jaden, social media links, brother.
At Jaden Winsong on Twitter. And you know, I have more coming out once I get that stuff figured out. But yeah, that's the best way to hit me up right now. Stay fresh, folks.
Stay fresh, guys. Deuces.